I'm just calling to say I...
What's up everybody, Rage Quitting here. This channel is dedicated to everybody who wants to learn more about Star Wars The Old Republic PvP. So if you want to see more content like this, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you will be informed of any time I post a new video or when I go live on stream. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Hello everybody and welcome to the Deception Assassin. Hello everybody and welcome to the Deception... Fuck, I can't even talk. Hold on, drink some water. Hello everybody and welcome to the Deception Assassin PvP guide for Star Wars The Old Republic. Rage Quitting here. I'm on my Sin Sits on Kids, and let's just get right into the utilities. So I'm going to go over these pretty quickly. I tend to talk a little bit too much, so we'll just go over them quick. I use Energized Blade. Critically hitting with a direct force attack resets the cooldown of Reaping Strike, and Reaping Strike costs 10 additional force. So Reaping Strike is your heaviest hitting melee ability, and being able to reset that cooldown with force attacks that crit help you just do even more damage with that ability again. So we're going to take Energized Blade. Next one up, I find the most use with Overload. It's an AoE push that also has a root attached to it, so very useful in multiple situations. If you don't have your interrupt ready or your low slash ready, you can use the push to interrupt casts. You can knock people off of ledges, or if you need to kite, you can push things away so that they're rooted to the ground and it helps you get away from them. In the level 39 row here, I like to take either Voltaic Engine or Voltaic Defense. This is really up to you. If you're having trouble sticking onto your targets, the additional slow on Voltaic Slash will help you stick to your targets better, and it'll also give you some passive damage reduction, which is also, which is always going to be nice. Okay, but if you're not too worried about that, I tend to go with a little bit more damage here. Voltage stacks built by Voltaic Slash increase your critical hit chance by 10% per stack. So this kind of synergizes well with the Energized Blade. If you get more crit chance here, you might be able to crit more on your direct force attacks, resetting your Reaping Strike cooldown. Okay, next one up here, we're going to take Lightning Critical. Force spending melee attacks now benefit from Recklessness, which is really nice because your melee attacks hit harder than your force attacks. It used to be where only your force attacks, get the auto crits from Recklessness, but now you can get auto crits from Recklessness on your melee abilities, okay, which means more damage. Moving up here, I like to take Dark Stability. Activating Deflection grants 6 seconds of immune to stun, sleep, lift, and incapacitating effects. If I don't take this though, then I go with Fade, reduces the cooldown of Force Cloak by 30 seconds, which is nice in regular war zones, especially if you just don't want to die. Having Force Cloak available more often just means you can escape fights better and stay alive longer. So either one of these, but you can also go with taking less AoE damage, but that's really up to you. I tend to use Dark Stability though. Play with it how you want and see what works for you. In the level 64 row, I always take Force Phase. Force Speed and Phantom Stride removes all movement impairing effects and grants immunity to them for 2 seconds. So this is just a very reliable way to get yourself out of roots and slows, because I think the thing I hate the most is just being rooted or slowed and being kited by ranged, casters and things like that. So Force Phase here. Moving up, level 68 row, there's only one option for me, is Force Shroud. Purges all hostile removable effects and increases your chance to resist force and tech attacks by 200% for 3 seconds. So for 3 seconds you can completely immune anything that is force or tech damage, which includes, force or tech stuns as well. So Force Shroud is very useful here on a relatively low cooldown of 1 minute. And then the last one up here, it's a toss-up between Shroud of Manus. Activating Force Cloak grants 2 seconds of Force Shroud. So that means whenever you do Force Cloak, Force Cloak is your escape ability. It just immediately vanishes you. Sometimes if you have dots on yourself though, the dots will just tick and bring you right back out of stealth. So if you don't want that happening, you should take Shroud of Madness. But if you're a little bit more aware of that, when you go ahead and vanish, then you just, if you happen to have Shroud available at the same time, you might as well just Shroud and then vanish, you know, to cleanse those dots off of you, or to be immune to them for the duration, so that you don't just get popped right back out of stealth, okay? So either that or Reaper's Rush, Phantom Stride, makes it so that you can use your Assassinate immediately. And then also, if you kill the target that you rush to within 10 seconds, Phantom Stride is reset so that you can do it again. This is good in PvP. When there's multiple targets who are low on health, you can teleport over to one, kill it, teleport to another one, kill it. But it's also really useful in PvE as well when you're doing solo content and you're just, you know, grinding mobs or whatever for heroics. Excuse me. Also, yeah, really good talent to take here. Okay, Reaper's Rush or Shroud of Madness. Alright guys, for the gear here, we are using the Awakened Flame tactical. When ball lightning deals damage, it causes its target to become electrified, dealing, you know, 19,000 energy damage over 6 seconds. So, ball lightning is on a very low cooldown, so having an additional dot attached to ball lightning really adds up over the course of a fight. So this is a lot of just free damage to your ball lightning, and I really like it. The other one that I have here is 2 cloaks. This is for solo ranked. If you have trouble staying alive, or if you just want that extra cloak, you know, just in case, it's always, you know, nice to have. You can't really go wrong. For purposes, we really like the dot on ball lightning. Okay. In the gear here on the stats, we want 105% accuracy, and then just above the step 1 in alacrity, which is 7.14%. As long as you're above that 7.14% threshold, you are effectively lowering your global cooldown by 0.1 seconds. And then after that, we're just going to throw the rest of it into as much crit as we can possibly get. Okay, 105% accuracy, 7.14% alacrity, and then the rest into crit. For the implants, we're using Shadowcraft package. Using Phantom Stride from stealth grants 6 seconds of 100% crit chance. Force Cloak resets the cooldown of Phantom Stride. And then Force Training package, it's just a passive 3% damage on force and melee attacks is what I'm using for now. Alright guys, we're going to get into the rotation part of this video now, but before we do that, we need to understand our gear here. So the Shadowcraft package, when we use Phantom Stride from stealth, we're going to get 100% crit chance for 6 seconds. Okay, so that paired with Reaper's Rush will then allow us to also use our Assassinate immediately instead of waiting for it to be usable only under 30% for an execute. And then also we're going to use Maul pretty early in the rotation because Maul sunders the target, reducing their armor by 20% for 45 seconds. And before we do a ball lightning, we're going to do a discharge first because discharge causes the target to become vulnerable for 45 seconds, and vulnerable targets take 5% more damage from force attacks. Alright, so the rotation going in is going to be from stealth, Phantom Stride, Maul, to sunder the target. Then we're going to use a Reaping Strike immediately because we're going to take advantage of the 100% crit chance, and we want to put Reaping Strike on cooldown as soon as possible. Excuse me. Following that, we're going to hit a Discharge, which should crit and reset the Reaping Strike. And then we're going to have to use Assassinate before the proc wears off from Reaper's Rush. Okay. Then we're going to hit a Ball Lightning to reset another Reaping Strike, and then pretty much just always trying to go back to a Reaping Strike. Okay, the goal here is to use auto crits on your force attacks and reset those Reaping Strike cooldowns. Okay, when our 6 seconds of auto crit wears out from the implant here, then we're going to pop Recklessness and use it on our melee abilities because they hit very hard. Okay, so we'll just go right into it here. So Phantom Stride Maul into a Reaping Strike Discharge. Okay, so Phantom Stride Maul, Reaping Strike Discharge, Reaping Strike again, and then Ball Lightning, and then Reaping Strike again, and then use that Assassinate, okay, before the before the timer on Reaper's Rush runs out, okay? So you have 10 seconds to do that. But then you only have 6 seconds to keep resetting Reaping Strikes with that 100% crit chance before you open with Recklessness for the second part of the rotation, okay? So the first part of that rotation was from Stealth, Phantom Stride Maul, Reaping Strike Discharge, Reaping Strike Ball Lightning, Reaping Strike Assassinate, okay? And then the second part after that is going to be to pop Recklessness and hit Maul, Reaping Strike if it's available. If not, we're going to hit Ball Lightning, and then Reaping Strike should be available, okay? So we'll go ahead and start from the beginning. Alright, from Stealth, Phantom Stride, Maul, Reaping Strike, Discharge, Reaping Strike again, Ball Lightning, and then Reaping Strike and Assassinate, okay? After this, we're gonna pop Recklessness, hit a Maul, reset Reaping Strike with the Ball Lightning, and then hit Reaping Strike one more time, okay? And then after that, now you're just gonna continue with whatever's available. If Reaping Strike's not available, we're gonna spam Voltaic Slashes or Maul if you have the Force, right? You really don't want to be spamming Maul too much, because then you're just going to keep draining your Force. If you notice that your Force is draining, start using Voltaic Slashes instead, because it'll proc your Force abilities. Okay, so like this, we pretty much spam Voltaic Slashes like this to proc Force abilities. When things are lit up like this, like the Maul and the Ball Lightning, that means they're going to be using less Force when you do the ability. So it's just for Force management that you kind of want to wait until they're lit up before you use them. Okay. So we'll go for the beginning again. Oh, and by the way, every time you drop exit combat, the cooldown of Recklessness is gets faster by 60 seconds. So pretty much every time you exit combat, you almost always have a Recklessness available. Okay, so anyway, we're gonna Stride, Maul, Reaping Strike, Discharge, Reaping Strike, Ball Lightning, Assassinate. Okay, then we're gonna Recklessness, Maul, Ball Lightning to reset the Reaping Strike. And then now we're just gonna continue here. Discharge, hit a Maul, hit Ball Lightning because it's available. We're gonna Voltaic Slash a few times, hit a Maul, hit a Ball Lightning, and then Reaping Strike again. Okay, so basically you're just trying to fish for some crits on either your Discharge or your Ball Lightning so that you can reset your Reaping Strike. Okay, if you have a lot of Force, you can spam Maul, and if you don't, then spam Voltaic Slashes. Okay, there is a Super Cheese opener that you can do as well. You can Phantom Stride twice because of the Shadowcraft package here. Force Cloak resets the cooldown of Phantom Stride. So if you wanted to, you could Phantom Stride, do that from Stealth Phantom Stride 100% crit chance for 6-second opener, and then Force Cloak, and then do it again, because Phantom Stride will be reset, and then you can go ahead and do it from Stealth again. If you want a super cheese, then you can use the 2 cloaks tactical here and do it 3 times, okay? And that's just, pumping out as much damage in a very short amount of time as you possibly can, okay? But then after that, you don't have any cloaks, so you can't do anything after that. But it is pretty funny to think about, okay? So as you guys can see, the rotation is not all that difficult, and there's not a whole lot of buttons to press for the rotation itself. If you want to AoE things, then you just spam Lacerate. If you're getting low on Force, use Voltaic Slashes instead of spamming Mauls. And you kind of want to use Voltaic Slash as your filler ability anyway, in between, your cooldowns. But then you have a lot of utility. So low slash is, very good utility. It's a 4-second stun, or it's an incapacitate. So it's like a soft stun is what I like to call it, instead of a hard stun. If somebody attacks them within those 4 seconds, they come out of it. But it's a really good tool to use for on the healers just to CC them for 4 seconds, and especially too because it has range on it. There's a 30-meter range, so it's another good ability to use when you're trying to gap close. Let's say you don't have Phantom Stride or 4 speed, or you can combine it with 4 speed too, but if you don't have anything to gap close on the target, you can just, as long as nobody else is attacking them, you can throw the low slash at them, and then they'll be incapacitated for 4 seconds, which will then give you some time to walk up to them and start hitting them again. Okay? And then don't forget to use your taunts, your single target taunt and your AoE taunt in PvP. The people who are taunted do less damage to everybody who's not attacking you. So anytime you can throw these taunts out, you should just throw them, so you can get some protection numbers up on the scorecard. And then also your Mind Trap. This is an ability that you can use only from stealth. And what it does is it crowd controls the enemy player only if they are not in combat. So if any enemy players are not in combat, you can hit them with the Mind Trap, or as a lot of people like to call it, Sap. And you just CC them for a little bit, okay? Also, you have Jolt, your interrupt. So if you're on casters and they're using abilities, use your Jolt to interrupt their cast. Especially healers on big healing abilities, you can use that to interrupt, okay? And Force Shroud gives you 100%, full immunity to force and tech attacks, while Deflection increases your ranged and melee defense by 50% for 12 seconds. So defense only applies to white damage or weapon damage. So, these two, you would use Force Shroud against operatives, sorcerers, Fury Marauders, I guess, for some abilities, and assassins too for some abilities. But you just have to know the distinction. I'm sorry, I can't speak. The distinction between yellow damage, which is force and tech damage, or white damage, which is weapon damage. Okay, so Deflection works against weapon damage, and Force Shroud works against yellow damage, right? Force or tech. Okay. But that's pretty much going to do it for this guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on another one. Peace.
I'm just calling to say I